Alright, let's kind of get a little bit more refocused here. So we can have a mix of zombies and skeletons. That's another option. So we have our imp, which I kind of want to make a unique encounter. We could also do a mix of a ghoul with some of these guys. Go ahead and get rid of the Sturge. Green oozes, or green slimes could be an option as a level 1 encounter. Or just as a slight trap. They have 20s, so maybe we could put 3 of them in there. Just to round out encounters. Don't really like the rust monsters or the snakes. Yeah, there's a term called ERP. It stands for erotic roleplay. Probably want to stay away from those. This one, as I said, I was thinking maybe like a civilization that had to go underground was an idea that I was going with. And the idea that, like, I kind of thought of the name the Sanctum of the False Council. Like, maybe there was a coup of the previous rulers of this place. And so basically they steal their dead bodies back because they're going to revere their dead. And then they bury them inside this tomb inside of Old Anofrfell. Thought it was kind of an interesting idea. And perhaps, like, yeah, perhaps they're trying to work some type of necromancy in order to, like, resurrect them, or maybe just to gain knowledge that they had. Something like that. It's an interesting idea. Okay. See, here though, I'm almost feeling like I'm pulling in a few too many directions. Because we have like a devil presence, we have undead, and then we have humans. So the humans I almost feel are going to have to be... like, we have to make a decision kind of who's going to take the center stage, because there's only going to be about 4 encounters that can happen in here. Maybe 1 roaming encounter too. The rest of these are probably going to have to get cut as a result of that. I mean, there's just not enough room for those type of things. Ogre can get cut, Medusa can get cut. I think we'll probably get rid of Gelatinous Cube. I don't think we want to have the jellies, actually. A Mimic is a possibility just to throw something a little different at the PCs. I don't actually have the stats for that, so I'm going to have to look in the bestiary. So we'll go ahead and look for a Mimic. 150, huh? Then they have Mimic varieties. Okay, yeah, maybe we'll toss a Mimic in there. 150. What does 150 put it in? It puts it in the medium range. So we have kind of a lot of medium encounters here. If we make a mummy a kind of a capstone encounter as well. Mummy's 250. Ooh, that could be a little too much, actually. Yeah, we're gonna have to cut Mummy. It's just a little out of our budget. And I don't want to toss the PCs up against something that they just can't fight. We can always make this for later as well. Like, maybe they have to return to this tomb. Clear it out again. 130 for a white. So a white can just be almost a roaming encounter on its own. Okay, so we have some options now for what they're going to fight. We kind of have an idea of what's going to work and what isn't. In general, do you like to give you some ideas, or do you want to figure it out on your own? It's whatever, you know. If you want to talk, it's cool. I mean, that's all it really comes down to. I mean, it can actually help you think of things for your own campaign if you're like running something, or if you just want to have ideas for if you do want to DM. For this type of thing, I'm trying to do kind of pretty structured things. My Fauneros game, for example, has a very, very heavy story in it. This, for my D&D Next Arbidet, I'm trying to make it a little simpler. A little bit easier to understand, but it can still have some intricacies to it. So, we got this shit done. Now comes the, I guess, interesting part, which is we're gonna make what we can of a dungeon. First things first. Time to figure out what these walls are gonna look like. So we go into this tertiary window for our fill. And I'm gonna see what I like here. I actually like the idea of this being kind of crafted. And the reason I say that is because it's supposed to be like a tomb where, you know, people are interred. Gonna have some reverence with it, so maybe it has actual tile involved with it. Probably not cobbled, because again, it's in the mountain, but see if we can find something. Alright, tiled. Let's see what we have here. It kind of looks interesting for a tiling. Part of this is maybe you don't add something that's completely thematic. Like you're like, oh, why would that be in there? But, you know, sometimes you just want to build interest in a map. Put something that maybe isn't perfectly in place, but it makes your eyes catch it, let's say. So let's go ahead and start with that. See what we can do. Yeah, don't worry about it, John. Like, just the more people that we can get playing, the better it is, you know? And I think it's good to encourage people to give it a shot. Again, there's just this stigma for this hobby that's just completely unfounded. And I think a lot more people would enjoy it, quite frankly. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and kind of make startings of a tomb. And this is going to look very boxy to begin with, obviously, but that's going to change very quickly. Right now we're just making kind of the outer boundaries, and I'll show you a very tried and true tip that I have for kind of making this look a little bit less structured, let's say. Okay, so we're going to have that. And maybe this. This is just going to be a fairly small dungeon, as I mentioned. It's kind of just a crypt. Not really a lot to it, per se. But as with every one of my dungeons that I try to make, I try to give them something special that differentiates them. Okay, 30 by 30. I'm actually going to go on the token layer and delete some of this stuff. There we go. Let's get it out of the way. We can also grab our reminders and cut them out. So we're going to go ahead and put a reminder up here. This is going to be our entrance. Pretty simple. We're going to put our atrium here. And that's just going to kind of lead to the rest of the crypt. We can maybe have a small internment place. So maybe in this place it's just a very small location where they just have like the crypts and the bodies. This can be more like a burial chamber. And maybe we'll have 1 or 2 more rooms. So if this is a burial chamber, we're actually going to kind of leave that as is. However, I like the idea of maybe there's a couple of these smaller chambers. Okay, so now we're gonna... There we go. So now we have a pair of these, like, small internment chambers. Makes it a little bit more believable, I think, because if they're trying to inter a fair deal of people in here, probably put more than one. Okay, now comes the question of how did they get into this chamber? Which is going to be a big thing. And there's a few options. We have a space right here that they could lead off to. We could create some sort of wrapping scenario over here. Or we could place something here. So I'm going to go ahead and save right now. Just in case I really don't like the way this turns out and I can't fix it for some reason. Maybe we can have almost a small side chamber. Or a couple of small side chambers here. We can add some interest to these side chambers. Maybe make them an encounter in their own. Do you guys understand what I mean by interest when I mention that? Like that term? Or do I kind of have to expound on that a little bit? Okay, yeah, that's 30. I think we're also going to get rid of one block here. Reason we got rid of that one block is to make these even and to give me a way out of here. Because I think I'm going to make like a side passage. And that's how they get out of here. We're also going to add an option for a secret passage, I think, between these two places. Should be pretty cool. And once it reaches here, we're going to say that it starts going off into the rest of the crypt. Or the rest of the mountain, rather. So this is going to be how they enter. They're going to have some sort of secret passage here, I think. That'll kind of... maybe here as well. Just giving different ways to attack the scenario, I think, is an interesting thing. Maybe we could make another secret passage also that connects like these two. So they can create like a pincer attack if they're able to set up well enough in this chamber. Actually kind of like that idea. So now we're going to go to the rock tile. Kind of fill in the gaps here. And I'm going to have to try to remember what my original texture was for this cave. Maybe it was in granite, actually. Yeah, this looks more like what I had. I think maybe 6A. Let's go ahead and save. So this is going to be a kind of a combination. We're going to add interest by doing this, and at the same time we're going to we're also going to give this the appearance that the cave complex is actually leading into this tomb, essentially. So we're going to put that there, and then we're going to have that secret passage that I was talking about. We're going to put... Ooh, might need to bring this down just one more space. I'm thinking. Yeah, okay. So we find out that our tile is a little bit off. So we're actually going to bring this down another square. At least. Then it can continue off this way. So back up to granite. Let's find where that was. I think it was G6A was what I was using. Alright. That actually leads to the back wall, so maybe we should actually make this that this cuts here, I'd say. A little bit of variance in which way they approach this run. And then we're going to go ahead and add something that looks closer to what it would look like to go back inside of the caves at this end. Save that up. Okay, we're going to go into straight lines now. And the reason we're going to do straight lines is we're going to draw the walls to this crypt a little bit. I believe 30 is a good amount to draw walls with. We're going to stick it on the object layer, and we're just going to do that to set it up so that if we need to delete walls, we can without having to worry about deleting the ground underneath. We don't need a fill on our lines. We need the outside, what's called the stroke. So now we need to decide what's a good-looking stroke for this particular dungeon. Figuring out the correct wall coloration is important because you want it to kind of stand out without being out of place. So we're going to actually take a look and see what we can do with this. These are all pretty gray. I kind of want something a little bit more defined against the background. So maybe Rocky Wall 12? See what this looks like. And we're actually going to delete that. The reason why I'm doing that is because I want it to snap to grid. So that we make nice, even walls. That looks like a pretty decent wall, actually. You notice the coloration. It stands out against it. It doesn't clash too much with the overall natural cave appearance. So I think we found some cave walls that work. Thickness looks pretty decent as well. Forgot about this little trick. You can right-click to create like waypoints. Now I can paint these quite a bit faster. Sorry if I'm getting a little bit quiet here, it's just I don't want to screw this up. The undo function inside of MapTools is probably its biggest fault. When you have to delete something, you pretty much have to delete it. There's just no way around it. I almost feel like maybe I should be doing a 20 wall, but I'll cover that as it comes. I think this is decent enough for now. Alright, so as I've done here, you notice that we have these nice walls, nice and paved, but really, there's not really some solid walls on the sides of a cave. So we're going to do a little bit of a different approach to that. We're actually going to turn on the eraser, set it to 30, which is a good brush size. We're going to go back on background, and we're basically going to use the erase tool to create like irregularities in the wall structure. And that's going to give it the illusion that this is a rough, rugged wall structure. First things first, though, we're actually going to paint the last bit of the granite. So we're going back to granite. G6A was what it was. Once again, we're still on Snap to Grid, and we're going to go like that. Because we painted the wall on the object layer, a nice little side thing for that is it will automatically overlap the cave, so it doesn't show up on as a secret passage. That works out really well. And we're going to put one, say, right there. And there we go. So once again, we're going to go to freehand lines. We don't have Snap to Grid on, that's important. We're just going to turn on something on there so that we have something on the line tool to work with. And now we're just going to very carefully just give it a little interest. Back and forth. And you'll see that this very tiny little bit of adjustment makes all the difference in the world when you're talking about making a believable cave structure. It also helps a lot that the particular texture that we're using kind of has this rugged, shadowy look, which is really going to add to this effect. Okay, we're going to kind of cut this corner a little bit. And the reason we're going to do that is to just make it look a little bit nicer. This game.
How are you, gentlemen? All your base are belong to us. You are on the way to destruction. What you say? You have no chance to survive, mate, your time. Ha ha ha.
That laugh.
All your base, all your base are belong to us. All your base, all your base are belong to us. All your base, all your base are belong to us. All your base, all your base are belong to us. All your base, all your base are belong to us. All your base,
If you guys had any recommendations or preference on music also, I'd be willing to hear them. I just picked something kind of neutral that I don't think anybody would be really too averse to. Now this method also takes a little bit of time, as I'm sure you can tell. But I think the results are a little bit worth it. It's, you know, maybe 10 minutes of your time. But it makes all the difference in the world when you're looking at a cave and it doesn't just have these sharp edges on it. Another option to this is instead of making this, you could make it almost like an official secret passage where they have like crafted walls. But I thought this would fit the cavern structure just a little bit better and give them the idea that, once again, they still are inside of this giant mountain. What the hell? That is an interesting inconsistency. You see how there's like two 30s? That is incredibly peculiar. Okay, so I'm gonna have to go over the walls again because it looks like something happened at these places. Like it was painting a 30 twice. Okay, that sucks. Well, I figured that out, so instead of using right click, I just gotta go straight on it. Man, that's annoying. Oh well. Okay, we went all the way up that side. We did not go up the right side, though. So we'll pick up from there.
You have no chance to survive, mate. Your time.
Okay, once again, we're gonna go here, and maybe we'll cut off a little bit more on this cavern. Because this is actually the cavern structure now. This isn't just a small break off. Alright, so this is the last chamber that we have to take care of. We'll do that real quick. Boop, 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 boop. Okay. See, and now just that little bit of variance, that little change. You know, maybe we put a little bit more on here because it's more of a natural rock formation, but just that little bit. You know, now this doesn't look like a pure right angle. You know, it looks like a little bit more like a normal cave. Same thing over here as it enters. So, after that unfortunate noticing that I figured out we screwed up on our walls, we're gonna have to redo that again. Which is a real hassle, but we'll do it. So let's find rock. I think we did rock wall 11. I'm also gonna see what happens if I do a 20 wall.